Welcome to the Extraordinary Podcast, where we identify God's uncommon work in common life. Recognizing God's work requires intentionality, but articulating it motivates and inspires. Don't forget to subscribe to never miss an episode. In today's episode, I have a conversation with Suzi Watterson, where she shares about her life growing up, what it meant to start getting involved in the church, and the different things about her life, such as introversion and mental health, that have impacted her, and how she views those things through the lens of Jesus. So let's get into the conversation with Suzi. Suzi, thank you for taking time to be a guest here on the podcast. We appreciate you sharing with us and just letting us know a little bit about who you are. And as we begin, can you tell us about your passion, or one of your passions, about working with small children?
They're innocent. Tell you how they feel, but they're also loving. Like, they don't care if you're not wearing the name brand stuff or you don't have goldfish for a snack in the nursery. They're happy you're there. I love to play with them. It just makes everything, for me, it makes everything gets easier. So.
Now, what ways over the years have you worked with kids, whether volunteer or paid?
I started babysitting somewhere between 12 and 14, somewhere in there. And that was a steady job through high school. Just a couple of families, smaller children, because, the older they get, the more opinionated they are. It's always been fun. And, if you're not having fun doing what you're doing, then why are you?
And if the kids aren't having fun, they'll let you know.
Yes. Yeah.
So now you are an individual who did not grow up in the church per se, but you married somebody who did. Can you share with us a little bit what that was like, marrying someone who was so embedded in church life?
It was a huge shock. Going from sleeping in until 9, 10 o'clock on a Sunday morning to getting up and being somewhere 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning. I just wanted to sleep in, watch cartoons. But the more I came, the more I learned. And the more sleeping in wasn't so important. So.
Is there anything specific that helped you feel as though church was worthwhile or beneficial?
Family.
What do you mean by that?
Well, there was Mark's dad and stepmom and Grandma Emma, which made everything easier. But it was just, they treated you like family as well. It was not like hey, how are you? And then I'm going to turn around and walk away. It was like, hi, how are you? How's your day? Is there anything I can help you with? And that helped immensely.
So people cared for you.
Yes.
And you felt that, and hopefully that was the love of Jesus that you were feeling through that as well. Now, can you share a little bit about when you became serious about your relationship with Jesus?
I remember the date. It was February 17th, 2004. We were pregnant with Bree. I had a whole lot of contractions. We were living in Coralville at the time. So I called my doctor, and she's like, get down here as soon as possible. I screamed, cried some more in the car while I was driving. And I didn't know how to pray. So I just let it all come out. And apparently I did something right. Because then after I finally calmed down, everything was peaceful. I was okay. I knew the baby was going to be okay. And it was just love filled my car when it was just me. So that made it, yeah.
One point of clarification. Where was your doctor located?
Down here.
In Burlington?
Yep.
Okay,
yep.
So it was an hour and a half, somewhere there drive. So it's not a 3-minute drive.
No, yeah.
And part of that adds to the anxiety or worry, because it is a lengthy time to get to the doctor. And part of what I think comes to mind is that it's okay to express our emotions.
Yes.
Sometimes we can feel we have to suppress our worry, our concerns, any negative or perceived negative thought. Mm-hmm. But in that moment, you felt Jesus like you had never felt him before.
Yes.
And can you share when was Bree born?
April 8th, 2004. So it was like eight weeks of bed rest down here at my parents'. The doctor didn't want me to go back up to Coralville. I only got to see Mark on the weekends. But that was okay. You know, I knew Bree was going to be good. Mark and I are going to get through it. And we did.
Now, but February 17th has another special date for your family,
yes.
which is?
Scott's birthday. He was born 6 years on the dot, and really close to the same time as I just let it all out. And I didn't really realize that until like a couple of years ago. And I'm like, wow. Like I can't, it's just a huge blessing.
So, well, thank you for sharing that. And February 17th is a special place in your heart, and and just speaks for your family as well. Now, I do want to take a kind of a little segue here. You have two children. One is recently graduated, well, relatively recently graduated high school. The other one is almost a high school.
Yeah, he's 13.
Can you give any insights to how the church can better support parents as they raise kids?
I don't really want to say a support group, but it's just show us you care. And if you notice something's not moving the way that we feel it should, just offer a little, hey, how you doing? Is there anything I can help you with? So it's just show you that they care and they want you here and they want to help.
Yeah, I think that's great. And that's part of what helped you when you first started coming, that people showed you they care, which is, it never goes out of style. Right. Showing someone you care never goes out of style. Now, if someone doesn't know you and they're watching today or even listening, they may not get this vibe, but you are an introvert. Mm-hmm. What are things that, as an introvert, that someone who's not an introvert might not realize that an introvert goes through, perceives, or just the false perceptions of introverts? Anything with that?
We're not mad. We don't, well, me personally, I don't smile a lot because I'm just a people watcher. Don't come and interact with me, just let me watch you. But even that has gotten better as my life has gone on. But it's just the high, we don't always get that. Just maybe a little wave, that's fine. But don't attack us. We don't like being like surrounded, even if it's only like one or two people. That bothers me because I'm not generally a people person. Like, I'm a people watcher. But yeah, we get kind of shoved under the rug and brushed out of the way, put on the back burner, but we still want to feel included.
Now, I think you bring up an excellent point that the church and other organizations as well can glorify certain personality types. Yeah. And partially, certain personality types get the publicity or the upfront personalities or those types of things. Are there ways the church can help that make sure they don't make certain personalities feel like they're not beneficial?
Again, just don't get mad if you invite us and we don't go. It's just that little bit of a light popping on that, yeah, they are showing me that they care. But just don't forget to invite and ask us. We might say no. 9 times out of 10, I will say no. But it's just, yeah, I don't know. everybody else gets, the limelight. We like to be behind the scenes. That's why I'm in the nursery. Yeah. But yeah, I just try to include us.
But I think you do bring an excellent point. It's something like the nursery can be a very beneficial and valuable thing for the church in general, but for parents of young children. And so there's a place for everybody. Just because somebody doesn't have this personality type, they might not fit in this particular situation, but there's a place for everybody. And I think we need to make sure we recognize that, because Jesus created you the way you are, created me the way I am, and there's a place for both of us. We have to make sure we start with that, because it's not about how the world perceives what we have to offer. It's how Jesus created us and what we can offer through Jesus. So Anyway, I appreciate your openness and sharing about that, because introverts, I think, tend to get a bad rap, just because it's just, just because. I don't know. Anyway, so as I said, I appreciate you being open with that, but we're going to go into a little bit of a deeper situation of things like anxiety, depression, which those are things that you are open about as well. Can you share a little bit with us about your personal journey with those types of things?
Oh my gosh. Depression started a long time ago. Just dealing with certain family members. And that also started my anxiety. Just because you are depressed doesn't mean that you can't be smiling on the outside and joining in on everything. It makes my introvertedness even more so, because I don't want to talk to anybody. I just want my blanket and my pillow, and I just want to curl up. That's not necessarily the best thing, but even if it's for like 5-10 minutes, then that it helps me put myself in the right frame of mind. Like, I am not my depression. I am not what made me feel this way, and I do not want to be this way. Just like a little setback, and okay, I got this. This is what I need to do. But thanks to my therapist, but it's hard, and not everybody wants to help anybody deal with that. You always need, well, in my opinion, you need someone to help pull you out. And sometimes it's an actual person in addition to Jesus. But just, it's difficult. Find someone that you're comfortable talking to about it, whether they have the same experiences or not. It will make you feel a little bit better. Like, okay, now they know what I'm going through right now. Now they can help me.
Are there any things that you've experienced in the church that might have been well-intentioned, but was misplaced when we're talking about things like, whether it's mental health, brain health, depression, anxiety, all those types of things? Does that make sense what I'm asking? Can you share any experiences with that?
See, I don't look happy. I don't smile. Things are working, and then, sometimes people, I don't want to talk to her. She never smiles. But with the depression, just the slightest little, not even a nasty look, but a little squint in your eyes just a little bit, that makes you feel worse. Like, oh my gosh, I'm just sitting here and they're mad at me. Like, I must have hit their car or something, I don't know. But when you're depressed, or even having anxiety issues, that's what jumps in my head. It's like, I must have done something to make them mad. But it's just, I don't know, I'm not mad, I'm not angry. I smile a lot when I'm playing with the kids because it's easier for me. We can sit there and have potato coffee on one side and then like a demo derby on the other side. That's my happy place. Mm-hmm. That's what makes me feel useful and loved, and not just, it's not just a God thing. This is they're entrusting me with their kids. So this is a yay, you're not useless. Mm-hmm. So, and that helps a lot.
I was reminded, sometimes I think we have this concept with things like whatever mental health situation it is, maybe the extremes are excluded, like maybe bipolar, those types of things, but we'll just give it to Jesus. Mm-hmm. And there's the scripture of don't worry about anything. And as I think about this, if somebody breaks an arm, we do know that Jesus could miraculously heal that arm mm-hmm. right away. Yep. That doesn't always happen. Right. Usually it's a process to heal. Mm-hmm. But something like mental health, to me it resonates more closely of if you have nerve pain and the doctors go in and kill the nerves, you can have relief for a while, but the nerves are going to grow back. Mm-hmm. And a lot of times I think mental health might be that way. There may be times where, we're in a good season, mm-hmm. but that whatever it is can come back. Right. And so I just thought of that as you were speaking. I hope that does that make sense?
Yeah. It's just like, okay, like you said, bipolar. If you take your medication and then you're feeling great and then you're like, I don't need that anymore, you're eventually gonna spiral down. And then, you're like, okay, yeah, I really need to take my medicine. But it's not always like that. Like that specific, scenario. With me, I've been seeing my counselor since, it's 12 years. It was right after Scott turned 1. Faithfully, every 6 to 8 weeks, I've gone in to get help with coping mechanisms. She's not technically a Christian counselor, but she is a believer. And she goes to her home church, which made me feel better. Just because she knew like little things that, like scriptures that might help me get through it. And then I do take my medication. And if I don't, I can tell. Like, I don't know, maybe I didn't take it this morning. I think I took it. No, I didn't. And then, okay, well, I can't take it now. And then you realize I did take it, because if I didn't, this is what would be mm-hmm. happening. Yeah. So.
Now, you just mentioned your counselor has some church background, which I assume is very beneficial for you mm-hmm. because your counselor can then understand your context. Mm-hmm. And as you think about that, how have you processed depression, anxiety, those types of things through the lens of Jesus? Does that make sense?
Yeah. It's hard because I don't want to give just small parts away, like if I'm going to let it go, I have to let it go. It might be a 2-year process, but you get it out and you feel better, not just mentally, but spiritually. You get your issues out and it's gone. Mm-hmm. You don't have it. God's got it. And that's what I need to know. That's why I've been going for the last 12 years. From my childhood issues. But it's, you give it up, you let it out. Mm-hmm. He will help you move on.
And I hope we can, the concept of mental health still has a long ways to go, but has been, it's less taboo than it used to be. Mm-hmm. And I hope that we can all have a sense of, we all have imperfections, mm-hmm. we all have struggles, We all have issues that we need to work on ourselves. And judging someone because they don't fit the mold or whatever it may be is a terrible path to go down.
Yeah.
Whether we're talking about something like mental health, we're talking about someone who is introverted, well, why aren't you this way?
Yeah.
And so I think we have to make sure we use things like personality and mental health of Jesus created me this way.
Yeah, I'm like this for a reason.
How can I be the best version of who Jesus created me to be?
Mm-hmm.
Not how can I fulfill somebody else's expectations
Right.
on what I should be. Because if somebody is imposing certain expectations on you, that makes you pull away.
Yes, very much so.
Which I think is why you really enjoy working with kids, because there's no judgment.
Right.
At all. It's actually mind-blowing to see
we can
kids
build a tower and yay, it's the tallest tower ever, and then just like a little finger, oh no, it fell. And it's just, that helps me realize where I belong in the church, and I'm not just floating around. I'm needed, I'm wanted, I'm loved, even if it's just like 45 minutes, an hour a week. That's what makes me happy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, that's great. So God created you to be you. He created me to be me, and it's when we can recognize who Jesus created us to be,
Mm-hmm.
then we can start fulfilling the purposes that He's given us, not somebody else's perceived purposes that we should have. Well, I appreciate your openness today and your vulnerability, as you're speaking about very personal issues. And is there anything else you would like to share just before we close today?
Show us you care. Show us that you want us. But even if you invite us and you know we're not going to come, the invitation means a lot. Everybody else would like, okay, well, thanks, I'm not coming. But I take it personal. If you're inviting me, that means you want me there. Like, I can't mentally make myself go, but I'm happy for the invitation. Mm-hmm. So don't get mad if we say no. Yeah.
So the thought counts.
Yes, very much so.
And you don't want people to make the decision for you.
Right.
Nobody wants somebody else to make the decision for them, regardless of what that is. So, well, thank you for sharing today and being open and vulnerable with introversion, mental health. I'm thankful for your willingness to share, and I hope that the listeners understand what you're saying in a way that helps draw the church closer together as we seek to serve Jesus. So thank you for being here today. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for this podcast. Be on the lookout for how God does uncommon work in common life. And please subscribe to never miss an episode.